California, you have dangers from a number of different kinds of earthquakes. The major danger is from the earthquakes on the San Andreas Fault system.
Scientists are warning that areas around the San Andreas Fault could see a strong earthquake as soon as this year.
There hasn't been a big earthquake on the southern San Andreas Fault for a long time, and we may have found a reason why.
One plate diving down beneath another, this section gets locked and it pushes this part up. When the fault ruptures, when the amount of stress overcomes the friction, it bounces back, which lifts up the water above it and causes that water to flow out in all directions.
NASA has issued a life-threatening warning. A massive crack in the San Andreas Fault signals a huge earthquake could strike soon. Recent tremors in the Sierra show the danger is real.
Oh, it was an earthquake. Huh? It was an earthquake.
Officials are on high alert, updating emergency plans and running drills in schools and hospitals. They are getting ready for a big quake. What if this crack triggers a catastrophic earthquake? Join us as we explore the terrors happening right beneath our feet. The silent threat beneath California's surface. NASA's advanced satellite technology, which usually helps us explore space, has been used to monitor even the smallest movements in the Earth's crust. This technology has shown unusual movements around this crack. These movements are different from what we've seen before, suggesting that stress is building up and could lead to a major earthquake. Understanding this crack is very important for earthquake preparedness. Local governments and emergency services are already using this information to update their plans. Schools, hospitals, and other critical places are practicing drills and updating safety protocols to be as ready as possible. Scientists are also keeping a close eye on the fault, using every tool they have to predict when this stress might cause an earthquake. Earthquakes happen because large pieces of the Earth's crust, called tectonic plates, are always moving past each other. As they move, they build up a lot of pressure under the ground, similar to the pressure you feel when you squeeze a balloon. Sometimes this pressure becomes too much, and the Earth has to release it. When this happens, we get an earthquake, which is a strong shaking of the ground that can cause a lot of damage. Earthquakes are very common because the state is located along the edge of two major tectonic plates. Over the years, California has had many big earthquakes. One of the most famous is the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. During this event, the buildup pressure underground was released all at once, causing massive destruction in the city and changing the lives of many people. Scientists study earthquakes to understand better how, why, and when they happen. By looking at past earthquakes, like the one in San Francisco, researchers can find patterns and possible warning signs. This information is very important for getting ready for future earthquakes. It helps improve building designs, emergency plans, and safety measures for the public. But this isn't the only challenge. Understanding how tectonic plates and their energy work is not just about predicting the next big earthquake. It's also about appreciating the incredible power of our planet. Every earthquake is a reminder of how dynamic and ever-changing the Earth is beneath our feet. It shows us the importance of being prepared and respectful of natural forces that are far beyond our control. For many years, scientists have been studying the San Andreas Fault. They use tools like drills, satellites, and earthquake detectors to learn more about this fault line. These tools help scientists understand that different parts of the fault act differently. In some areas, the tectonic plates beneath the Earth slide past each other smoothly, causing small tremors that we often don't even notice. But in other areas, the plates get stuck, like a zipper that won't close. This can build up a lot of tension, which might lead to a big and destructive earthquake in the future. Scientists are paying more attention to these patterns. The way the plates slide or get stuck is a serious risk, so researchers are investigating more to predict where the next big earthquake might happen. For example, NASA is studying the fault with high-resolution images from space. These images help detect small movements in the plates, giving clues about potential earthquake hotspots. But the challenge doesn't end there. The ongoing studies are essential as they continually improve our understanding of the fault's behavior. The more we learn, the better prepared we can be for the next big quake. This preparation is not only about predicting earthquakes, but also about implementing better building codes and emergency plans to protect communities. However, the research is never complete. Scientists must keep monitoring the fault to adapt to new findings and technologies. This continuous effort helps ensure that the millions of people living near the San Andreas Fault can have the best possible protection against future earthquakes. Let's look at the powerful forces shaping our Earth, hidden right under us. the horrifying cracks on Earth. Imagine holding a piece of paper, gripping it at both ends, and then slowly bending it until it starts to strain at the center. The line where it begins to fold might hold out for a time, but the growing pressure would inevitably cause it to rip apart. This analogy mirrors what's occurring along the San Andreas Fault, a region where NASA's scientists are closely monitoring a significant crack. This particular segment of the fault has a notorious history of sparking substantial earthquakes. The crack isn't merely widening, it's also showing increased activity. Picture the paper's tear enlarging, and the two halves beginning to glide past one another more smoothly. These developments are signaling that the stress accumulating in this area of the fault is nearing a critical threshold. What adds to the concern is the depth of this crack. The deeper the crack, the more volumes of rock it encompasses, and consequently, the greater the energy that could be unleashed in an earthquake. According to NASA, this crack dives deep into the Earth's crust, hinting that any potential quake could be particularly devastating. Moreover, a striking red flag is the pace at which stress is accumulating along this fault line. Observations show a faster than usual increase in stress, comparable to the pressure in our paper analogy ramping up rapidly. This accelerated stress buildup suggests that the fault line is edging toward a breaking point, which could result in a major seismic event. Additional evidence supporting this looming threat includes a noticeable rise in both the frequency and intensity of smaller seismic activities in the vicinity. These tremors serve as forewarnings, indicating the fault's increasing instability and the heightened likelihood of a significant earthquake. Each of these indicators, faster stress buildup, deep crack penetration, and frequent intense tremors, jointly paint a picture of an imminent geological upheaval that could have profound impacts on the affected regions. You might hear subtle popping and cracking sounds around the main crack in the Earth's crust. These sounds are like tiny earthquakes. They might be warning signs of a bigger earthquake coming. This crack is in a risky spot, and it's worrying because a big earthquake here could cause a lot of trouble. It's close to cities, so if a big quake hits, it could damage buildings, roads, and important services. But this isn't the worst part. NASA experts have warned that this crack is very close to causing a major geological release. When geologists talk about a release here, they don't mean a volcano erupting. They mean a sudden release of built-up stress in the ground. The famous San Andreas Fault is a key spot where two huge tectonic plates meet and rub against each other. As these plates keep pushing and scraping, stress builds up. Over time, the rocks can't take it anymore, and they break, releasing this stress as a strong earthquake. The San Andreas Fault is known as a transform fault. This means the tectonic plates slide past each other sideways. Usually this movement is slow and we don't even notice it. But sometimes the tension gets too much, leading to noticeable and significant earthquakes. But the danger doesn't stop there. As the pressure builds up, the potential for a huge earthquake increases. The damage could be catastrophic, impacting not just buildings and roads, but also people's lives and communities. The risk is always there, making it essential to stay prepared and aware of these natural warnings. Some parts of the world, the Earth's tectonic plates get stuck together like intertwined fingers, building up a lot of tension over time. When this tension becomes too much, the plates snap apart, causing big earthquakes. Scientists, including those at NASA, keep a close eye on these areas. Right now, they're watching a specific fault line that seems to be on the verge of such an event. NASA's research shows that this fault is under a lot of pressure and could break at any moment. If it does, it would release a huge amount of energy, potentially causing a major earthquake. This sudden release of stress from the Earth's crust can change landscapes in seconds and is a key area of study for scientists. But this isn't the worst part. When looking at the risk of an earthquake along the San Andreas Fault, scientists consider several factors. One major factor is the built-up stress along the fault line, which NASA has found to be extremely high right now. They also look at the fault's history of big earthquakes, and this area has had its share. Even though predicting the exact time of an earthquake is tough, the recent increase in activity and the growing stress suggests that a rupture could happen sooner rather than later. The story of our Earth's shakes gets more intense, showing the big impacts of these forces. California's seismic future. Another important thing to consider is the size or magnitude of the possible earthquake. The magnitude shows how much energy is released during an earthquake, with bigger quakes releasing more energy and causing more damage. To guess the potential magnitude of a future earthquake along the San Andreas Fault, scientists look at the length and depth of the fault segment that might break. The specific segment NASA is studying now is a very active part of the fault. If it breaks, the damage could be especially severe. This continuous monitoring and the data collected help in preparing for and reducing the impact of such a natural event. But that's not the end of the story. The magnitude isn't the only factor that matters. How close the epicenter is to populated areas can make a big difference in the damage caused. That's why scientists are also mapping out these details to better understand the risks and help communities get ready. An earthquake with a magnitude of 7.0 or higher can cause massive destruction, similar to the catastrophic events of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake or the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. These earthquakes demolished buildings and changed lives forever. Such powerful tremors can cause severe damage to everything from skyscrapers to bridges. Not only do these quakes create immediate chaos, but they also give us important information about how faults behave and the potential scale of their impact. Scientists use historical records along with modern data from agencies like NASA to predict how often these major earthquakes might happen. These predictions are based on the recurrence interval, which is the average time between significant quakes on a fault line. Current analysis suggests we might be nearing the end of one such interval, meaning there's a higher chance we could experience a major earthquake soon. The impact on infrastructure would be severe. Highways, railroads, and pipelines could be damaged, disrupting the transportation of goods and services. This disruption could lead to significant economic problems and make emergency responses much harder. Looking closer at the potential impacts in different regions, the picture is grim. In Southern California, cities like Los Angeles and San Diego, with their dense populations and extensive infrastructure, are especially at risk. These areas might experience intense shaking that could topple buildings, break roads, and damage essential services. But there's more. Los Angeles, known for its wide urban spread and many buildings, would face a particularly tough challenge. An earthquake there could cut off critical transportation routes and utilities, making it hard for residents to get the resources they need. The disruption in such a populous area could lead to a significant humanitarian crisis, as emergency services struggle to manage the aftermath amidst the chaos. In the huge areas of California, while the north is full of busy cities and activities, Central California has its own set of risks, especially from a potential major earthquake. This kind of event could deeply affect the small towns and communities along the central part of the fault line, including places like the Coachella Valley and Inland Empire. These areas could experience moderate to severe shaking. Agriculture, which is crucial for Central California's economy, could be hit hard. Farms might get damaged, irrigation systems disrupted, and food production could stop, causing problems that go beyond local communities and threaten food supplies far and wide. Moving up north to the San Francisco Bay Area, the threat of earthquakes is even greater. Cities like San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose are the urban centers of Northern California and have faced strong quakes before. With a dense population and lots of infrastructure, these areas are particularly at risk. The shaking can cause liquefaction, where water-soaked soil turns into a dangerous, fluid-like state, leading to collapsed buildings and broken roads, putting many lives in danger. And it gets even more concerning. Recent studies from NASA show growing stress along the fault lines, hinting at a higher chance of seismic activity. This potential natural disaster is a serious threat, not just to the immediate areas, but to the broader state and national economies. The communities along these fault lines need to prepare and strengthen themselves against this unpredictable yet ever-present danger. Right now, there's a lot of activity along a crack in the Earth's crust, meaning there's a higher chance of an earthquake happening soon. Think of it like a rubber band. If you stretch it too much, it's bound to snap. When we talk about earthquakes, we measure their size and impact using something called magnitude. The bigger the magnitude, the stronger and more damaging the earthquake can be. With potential energy building below, we get closer to understanding what might soon happen. The silent threat of the San Andreas Fault. Scientists determine the size of an earthquake by examining the length and depth of the fault line that could break. NASA is currently monitoring a very active part of the San Andreas Fault. If this whole section breaks, it could cause an earthquake with a magnitude of 7.0 or more. Earthquakes this size are major and can cause a lot of damage over large areas. Looking at past earthquakes along the San Andreas Fault helps scientists predict what might happen in the future. Big quakes like the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, which had a magnitude of 7.8, and the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake with a magnitude of 6.9 provide a lot of useful information. By studying the damage they caused and where they hit, researchers can make models to forecast the intensity of future earthquakes. By analyzing past events and keeping a close eye on fault activities, scientists aim to understand these natural disasters better. This continuous study helps predict when and how strong future earthquakes might be. It also improves preparation strategies, potentially saving lives and reducing damage when a big earthquake strikes again. NASA's recent research has revealed key details about the San Andreas Fault, highlighting the areas most likely to experience earthquakes. Dr. Lucy Jones, a well-known expert on earthquakes, emphasizes the need for people living near this fault to be more aware and prepared. By understanding the risks, residents can take steps to stay safe. Dr. Jones suggests not to panic but to learn about the risks, which can help in responding better. She recommends community participation in earthquake drills, creating emergency plans, and putting together disaster preparedness kits to boost readiness for potential earthquakes. The combined efforts of various organizations are crucial in strengthening our defenses against these natural disasters. By sharing knowledge and advancing technology, the community can better manage and lessen the impacts of earthquakes, leading to a more prepared and informed public. NASA and the U.S. Geological Survey work together like close partners. NASA uses advanced technology to monitor the San Andreas Fault, while the USGS analyzes a lot of historical data. Together, they give us a better understanding of what's happening along the fault. At the Southern California Earthquake Center, SCEEC, it's like a big think tank focused on earthquakes. Scientists from different fields come together to share what they know. This teamwork helps them create detailed models to predict how strong the shaking will be and which areas might get damaged in future earthquakes. However, the challenge doesn't stop there. Even with all this collaboration, the unpredictable nature of earthquakes always keeps us on our toes. But by working together, scientists are making significant strides in helping society stay ready for whatever comes our way. Researchers who study the San Andreas Fault focus on understanding how it works and why it causes earthquakes. They spend their time examining rock formations and the buildup of stress in the Earth's crust. Their goal is to predict when these natural disasters might happen. This knowledge helps create models that can forecast earthquakes more accurately. But the tricky part isn't just about understanding the fault itself. Countries around the world also work together to share data and ideas. By pooling resources, they build global models of earthquake activity. This collaboration is essential for improving safety worldwide and making sure no region has to face earthquake risks alone. The California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, Cal-OES, plays a key role in earthquake preparedness. They coordinate the state's emergency management plans, especially for earthquakes. Using the latest research from organizations like NASA, Cal-OES constantly updates its strategies. These updates are crucial for ensuring quick and effective responses during emergencies. But staying updated isn't the only challenge. Cal-OES's emergency protocols are thorough. They include clear instructions for first responders, evacuation routes, and resource distribution. By continuously refining these plans, the agency ensures it is always ready for potential earthquakes. They also work closely with local governments and emergency agencies. This teamwork is vital for effective disaster response. Cal-OES also focuses on educating the public. They run outreach programs to teach Californians how to protect themselves during earthquakes. They encourage people to make emergency plans, prepare disaster kits, and join drills. Cities across California regularly hold earthquake drills, like the Great California Shakeout. These drills are important as they help people practice safety measures like drop, cover, and hold on, which can save lives during real earthquakes. Through these efforts, Cal-OES not only manages emergencies, but also helps build a more resilient community. Now we turn from the power of natural events to how we can prepare and respond. Earthquake Ready, a community effort. In places where earthquakes happen often, practicing drills is more than just a routine. It's a life-saving habit. These drills help people learn the best ways to get out of buildings quickly and safely when the ground starts shaking. They also improve how we communicate during these emergencies and show us where we need to do better to keep everyone safe. Cities are taking this very seriously by updating their building rules. They want to make sure new buildings are strong and can stand up to earthquakes. These new rules often mean using better materials, smarter designs, and more safety features to protect everyone inside. But this isn't the only thing they're doing. There's also a big effort to make older buildings stronger, especially important ones like hospitals, schools, and fire stations. This process, called retrofitting, helps these buildings handle earthquakes without falling apart. Local governments are also making sure people are not just aware of the risks, but are prepared for them. They hold town hall meetings, give out guides on how to get ready for an earthquake, and make sure families have the information they need to make their own emergency plans. But that's not all. Many public agencies work with nonprofit groups to create helpful public service announcements. These messages teach everyone the important steps to take before, during, and after an earthquake, making the community stronger and more ready for these events. Lake Vostok is hidden way down under the ice in Antarctica. It's covered by a thick layer of ice more than 2 miles deep. What makes this lake special is that it's been cut off from the world for millions of years, which makes it a great spot to learn about past climates and maybe even find some life that exists nowhere else on Earth. Russian scientists have been working hard to get through that huge layer of ice to reach the lake's water. It's a tough job because the ice is so thick, but they've managed to drill through without messing up the lake. This is exciting because the water in Lake Vostok is super cold and under a lot of pressure, which keeps it liquid even though it's below the normal freezing point. But that's not the worst part. The real kicker is what they found in the lake. Researchers have discovered signs of life in the icy water. They found DNA that points to thousands of microorganisms like bacteria and fungi, and even some tiny animals might be living down there. It's like finding a hidden treasure of life forms that have adapted to one of the harshest places on Earth. This discovery isn't just cool for Earth science. It has bigger implications for space exploration too. Lake Vostok's conditions are similar to what we might find on icy moons like Europa and Enceladus, where scientists think there could be oceans under the ice. Studying Lake Vostok helps us understand how life might survive in those extreme conditions, which is a big deal if we ever want to find life beyond Earth. But wait, there's more. The ongoing research at Lake Vostok is not just about checking out weird bacteria. It's about pushing the limits of where life can exist. Whether it's the deepest ocean or a frozen lake under miles of ice, life has a way of hanging on. By figuring out how life works in these extreme spots, we're learning a lot about life's potential across the universe, and maybe getting a step closer to answering the big question, are we alone out there? This exploration raises important environmental and ethical questions. How do we balance our quest for knowledge with the need to preserve pristine environments? The methods used to reach the lake must avoid contaminating its waters, which could destroy the very ecosystems we aim to study. Yet despite these challenges, as we continue to explore Lake Vostok, each discovery adds to our understanding of life's potential in the universe and our planet's ecological history. It provides insights into the resilience and adaptability of life. To help people bounce back better, organizations are starting programs to teach residents important skills like first aid, search and rescue, and how to support each other emotionally after disasters. These skills are incredibly useful during a crisis because they help the community get back on its feet quickly. Some programs also offer financial aid to homeowners so they can update their old buildings, making it easier for them to add earthquake safety features. Businesses are also encouraged to create plans that help them keep running during earthquakes. These plans usually include protecting important data, setting up clear ways to communicate with employees, and figuring out steps to restart business activities quickly after a disaster. By working together across different areas, California is making its communities stronger and better prepared to handle earthquakes with less trouble and more safety. But this isn't the end of the story. These efforts also include making sure everyone knows what to do when an earthquake happens. Community drills and educational campaigns play a big role in this, helping people feel more confident and ready to act during an emergency. What do you think? Are businesses doing enough to prepare for earthquakes? Let us know in the comments, like and subscribe for more.